So I'm here at Fit to Fight with the man Eli Knight, and we are going to, yeah, there he is. We're gonna, real quick, go over some of the kind of older school JKD slash Kali slash Jumuk slash Silat slash whatever takedowns to like submissions and things like that that are trained in a completely different methodology from JKD and Kali to kind of your current background of like jiu-jitsu, because you were a JKD and Kali guy.
Yeah, that's what I was just sitting here trying to, I've been trying to remember ever since we had this conversation about like what I remember from training JKD and Kali, because I did it for a long time in my early like stages. When I first started in jiu-jitsu, like we were hitting everything. We were doing JKD, we were doing Kali, we were doing Silat, like multiple different like Filipino martial arts subsystems and Silat subsystems and all that, and it was a lot of fun. And there's like some stuff that still has stuck with me to this day, like that I remember. And there's some stuff that you can see like direct translations or borrowing from different systems too. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I like, because like I would see things in his videos where I'm like, that looks like this.
Yeah.
And then and now I'm training with him, and I can ask and be like, oh, it was. This video is sponsored by X Martial.
And we'll talk about one specific, I think, but yeah, it's there were definitely ones that I came across later on in training that I was like, hey, I learned this back in this kind of thing. So it's like, who stole from who? So,
and that's a completely different topic, because it's super interesting to see who borrows what and then what becomes what.
Yeah.
But one of the takedowns that I want to talk to you about is the figure 4 takedown. Specifically how it was taught to me, and I have a hard time landing in this situation, but I do know that it exists in other realms, so maybe we can find a different path to get there. But the way I learned it was actually from our favorite attachment point, Enter the Dragon, right? Where I box out and then I lop sao, you know, fun Chinese words here, and then I come into the figure 4 with a little bit of the wrist flexion here, and then I would bend him down and he would go down, and then I would do all the things.
Yeah. So I think the first time I ever saw a takedown like that was in Aikido. And I wish to God I could quit talking about Aikido, and I've mocked myself into a corner by this point. The first time I saw it was from, I think it was from a wrist grab.
Okay.
And then I turn the wrist grab around and I pull it out here, and then we come through this way.
Yeah.
And then once you step through, then we come here. And I really liked it. Now Aikido will push back a little bit more and use this kind of stepping. Later, I learned it from a Chinese system, and the Chinese system was more brutal. I don't remember the entry point that they used. Once they got to here, it was lateral. It was from here, and they were going to hit boom this way, so that you get this lateral torque. And like, there's no way you're not popping that arm really bad if you're going to get the throw at all.
Right.
But I thought that one was pretty cool too. Now, I learned to like you were talking about, like the pops out, lops out one, and then I think, what did you do it off of?
Oh, I
off
did
of this one.
Yeah,
here,
sure.
Off of lops out,
boom.
Right? And then
you're
there.
Yeah.
I also learned it in a Filipino martial arts, like off of like a knife disarm here somewhere, where we went here.
Yes.
So it exists in so many different places. And I don't know the one that really would stick out to me that feels like it's gonna really work.
Yeah, no, so, and that's always where I'm like, well, maybe like something got lost or something was like repeated, and because I would feel like what you just with the knife disarm was way more like, I don't want to use the word applicable, it's the wrong word, but it feels more high percentage. I feel that's better. Would it maybe off the Russian tie or anything like that, where like you get like almost like the reverse Kimura grip and then go back? Or?
Yeah, it is possible, because like off of Russians or Iranians or whatever you want to kind of distinguish in these, like if we get here, now the double palm up one is probably not, but like if we get this over under and here like this, and especially if they're wanting to posture back up into me, first of all, I didn't have good head position or shoulder control, and there's a lot of problems with, if you are able to posture up, there's a lot of problems with what I was doing in the first place. But if I'm here and you're really committing to doing that, and then I can transition back, but you're not really gonna have it like quite over like it should be. But you can still hit it like off of this. You know? So I mean, I can still hit it in a weird, funky kind of way. But yeah, again though, it's one of those kind of things. Now we were talking too about like the old school waki katami type ones, right? So now this one, people tend to look at this and think because like it looks kind of old school that it won't work. But watch Shinya Aoki. Like Shinya Aoki snapped dude's arms nasty back in like I think Pride Days or one of those events. So he would do it off of like a tie. He would get here and come over. And just boom, he would snap it and then drag the dude to the ground, and you know, guy's crying by the time he's getting choked out. But yeah, if you get in here like this and you're wrenching this and the guy's pulling back, then I could see.
Oh, there you go. Okay, that's
so
cool.
That one right there, I could maybe see that actually being something that would be fairly reasonable.
Yeah, because they teach this particular takedown, and then you know you as you go, yeah,
that one's kind of cool because we have a lot of different like variations of it, but the idea is that you're getting that committed kind of push energy, so whatever that is, and you're stripping that off. The key to it here, where people screw it up, is that they go here, and then this guy's able to posture and bend his arm. But if the thing is though, like if you keep trying to pull, he's going to pull back, and now we're tug of war, and I've got my timing has to be perfect to get it. If you get in here and you bump in, that's a different story. Right now, another cool trick too that I learned a long time ago was to connect here and here, and so now that's a lot. Like if I go here, it's a little harder to control. If I connect right there, then that's pretty strong. Right?
That's not.
So not to get off on a tangent, but like you know, say though I do screw it up here, and you are starting to posture back up, then maybe we can, we can take it back that direction.
That's cool. That's a good way of making it work, because like especially off the collar tie when you had here, right? Where you come in here and you go to that, and then you come back, and then I can transition to that. That I like.
I could see that possibly working. So, and you know, there's a lot of places obviously on the ground where you get into that figure four kind of position. That you're not even just necessarily using it for the lock, but you're using it for like a control point off of something, you know. So they'll do, of course, the answering the telephone to block. So of course, like from here, you've got where you get to this position if we're on the floor and you're not making that work. Coming here, so the same idea still applies. If I pull this laterally, right? So then, boom, pulling that across.
But you know that kind of ties into getting that what is it? It's not a belly down armbar. What?
I always call it wakigatami.
Wakigatami. We'll use the Japanese. It's my degree anyway. That brings us to the Silat sequence that you would teach.
So the first time I learned the sequence was in a style called Pinjak Silat Sarak. And I may be mispronouncing it, and it's been a long time since I actually referenced that as it were, but it was the first place that I learned it. And I don't even remember the exact, I think it was off of like a juru or something that we were learning, but it was essentially, once we got here, it was like stepping in to here this way. And it was 1, 2, right? So now the way that we came in, it was all shoulder. There wasn't like a Russian tie kind of thing. It was pulling this arm across, using shoulder here, and stepping in to trip that one. And if I get that, cool. But if not, you step in here, you hook here, and then you drive the knee into this inside of the shin here to make that takedown. So the reason, though, and I think this is interesting, the reason that it was taught that way was supposedly the founder of that system was lame on one side. So he was partially paralyzed, and so everything was very like one-sided with one arm and with one leg. So which is neat, but there's a lot of those stories that pop up that I think are probably bullshit. Because like the blind Princess Josephine from, you know, like that didn't happen. Like, come on, like, I don't. Maybe it did, but I don't think it happened. Or you know, whatever the story is. You know?
It'd be cool to hear if that was actually true. So
that'd be awesome.
In the comments, you should, if you are a Penjak Silat Sarak guy, you know, if that story is like you heard it correctly.
It might be. Or it might just be an urban legend to overemphasize the leverage points of the art. Either way, it's cool. It gets your attention. It stuck with me obviously for like 30 years. So whatever. So now. No, go ahead.
Oh no, I think it's cool because it's like, as someone with limitations, like learning how people overcome it, but then they still teach something where you're like, well, that's badass.
Exactly. And so it is kind of neat that way. Now, when I went later on, this was a few years later probably, I went to the public library. We didn't have any real resources. There was basically no internet, barely an internet, no YouTube obviously. And so I went to the library and was looking through wrestling VHS tapes. And I found one with what was his name? Gene Mills, I think. It was Gene Mills. And like decorated wrestler from the 80s, and you know, teaching there in his singlet with his mustache and everything, and he's showing the same thing, and he's showing it essentially off of a Russian tie. And he's showing, you go to step in, boom, here you go here, except when he blocked inside, he would use that to set up the ankle pick.
Oh, the ankle pick, yeah. Because that's what you normally teach, right? You do that there to the ankle pick.
Right. And so the sequence that I typically teach off of it is from here. I go inside trip. I also like to mention though, this might be like Uchimata, more Uchimata style, you know, and so you could get that. But you go here, boom, pick the ankle. If you miss that ankle on this one, they step back. Boom, here you come back to the collar, go to the snap down,
that's cool.
or go straight into a guillotine. So it's a cool sequence, and you can put in other stuff too. You can put in single legs, you can put in fireman's carry. So I learned it, second time that I learned it was from watching Gene Mills, and I'm like, oh, that's just like in Silat. You know, except better. But then later on, I would, like some wrestling friends would show me the same kind of thing. And then I saw, I mean, I've seen it from so many different places. You know? And of course, everybody, you know, claims proprietary information over Silat invented it. So did wrestling. So did, you know, some style of karate. So did jiu-jitsu. So whoever made it, it's the thing that gives me validation over it by seeing it pop up in so many different places, so completely similar, is to show that that's obviously a really good sequence with really good leverage points and really good application. Because otherwise it wouldn't be popping up. So
it's the efficacy.
To this day, I don't care who steals from who. The thing that I see when I see something stolen or borrowed in another system or another system or another system, I'm just like, that means it's a good thing.
100%. And then everyone has their different methodology on it, but if it's that concurrent, you know. And that's like a big thing. It's known, or if it's not known, it's now known. I'm not the biggest Silat fan, and that's no disrespect to the art. You know, my instructor Ron Balicki loves it, and you know, he makes it work too. So it's not necessarily the art's problem; it's just how I train it. But I also personally don't like it because it hurts. Like everything, every time I train it, I'm always like afterwards. But I see so many similarities in, especially modern day jiu-jitsu, with a lot of the leg entanglements and like the sweeps and stuff from open guard are all like, oh, that's all Silat.
So the figure four thing, with the way I learned that in Silat, it was from, now in the Herima Mandemura type of Silat, when I learned that, the story that I got was that a lot of times they would start on the ground in Sepak or Depak or whatever, because it came from like a very rainy climate around like Sumatra and stuff. So the fights, the people were always slipping and falling on the ground, so they just start on the ground. You know, so I was like, and I was training jiu-jitsu at the time, and I'm like, hey, I like this. You know? So, but it was really interesting to see some of the open guard work that Pendikar Hermasawanda would show. And so he would show stuff like, man, this is silly. I hope to God this doesn't get taken out of context and posted somewhere.
It will be on McDojo.
Look at what Night Jiu-Jitsu is showing some bullshit. But he would get to here. Now, what he would start a lot of the time is from something like this and from punching. And he would go here and he would just magically get a hold of these wrists. So from here, he had all these little up kicks. He did like a neck break thing from here, some crazy shit. He did one that for that wrist lock thing, or for the figure four thing, is what he would do is get here, and somehow he would do like a backward roll, boom to here. And then, probably not something you're gonna see pulled off at, you know, high level anything, you know, but it was cool. It was some cool, fun stuff, and that's why I loved Silat for a long time. Typically, what I see, especially the way I see it being trained these days, for the most part, it's kind of weird.
And then I guess the last little thing is the Puda Kapala. Because like we always have this in our Kali that I learned from Ron Balicki and Scott Shields and whomever I learned through Dan, of course. And then, but everything would always end up there. Right? Like you would do all
roads lead to Puda Kapala.
And but you were saying before, or off camera before, is like you have found it's also in something else. Was it Aikido?
Aikido, of course, but it was I remember seeing some old texts, because I remember whenever I came across it, there was something, and I believe, again, I may be wrong, but you know, feel free to blast me in the comments. I don't care. It's Aikido. It was Kaitanagi. Kaitanagi, typically, the thing with it was that it put more emphasis on the arm. So whereas in Puda Kapala, you're going to get here, and you're typically going to step through and push the head through and pull the arm, right? Kaitanagi it would get here this way, and then it would send you this direction.
Got it.
So it was more this, right? So that typical kind of like stepping with Aikido. So, but same kind of concept. Now, fun fact: if you go back and you if you watch the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Basics old VHS tape with Jorge and Hoist Gracie, there's a Buddha Kapala on there.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it's from a tackle stop. It's from a tackle defense.
Hey, you know what?
And so typically the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu tackle defense, it starts from, if you're tackling, I'm stomping here this way, knee here, sometimes elbow, come in guillotine.
Okay.
This particular one, and I haven't really trained this one in a long time, and it's not really canon necessarily anymore for most of what I've seen in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, but it would be, it was here, and when Jorge would block, he came in here and got this arm. So essentially it was this kind of grip. But when he did it, he did the takedown with it. Right? So it was, you know, obviously, I don't think in any way that the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu borrowed from Silat for that particular one. It's just the same. It's just a strong entry. And whenever the only time I've ever hit it in like live, any kind of like standing wrestling or anything, from Buddha Kapala, it was because I got here and I got their head inside this way. And then from here, essentially, you just run backwards and you're going to get them taken down. Right?
Because like you run and I just have to go.
Exactly.
I found it accidentally. We were doing a drill. It was a takedown drill. So it was like 3 people and you would take me down and I would sprawl. And there was one guy, the way he was taking me down, I was just like, every time. I was like, oh, this is great, because I was tired. I'm still tired and lazy. But like when he would go for the day, I'm like, and he was just like,
because all it is, it's like a little half sprawl. And then, or it's a short sprawl or whatever, and then if you get that underhook on the way. So, and you can also, if somebody has a really shitty fireman's carry, you can throw it in right there too, as long as you're not getting that leg hooked too bad, and you're not getting like really rooted underneath you. Because if they shoot in and they have a bad angle at all, and you can get that hook here that they started shooting on, and pulling them back, it's going to flatten them out. So yeah, it's a, you know, I think it definitely has a lot of application. You know? Now the way that it presents in a Silat a lot of the time is it's interesting, you know. But I think that they have a lot of just kind of not in a disrespectful way, but generic, a lot of entries, you know, because they do a lot of like this kind of stuff, right? So whereas they would come here and then they would come this way. And the ones I always liked were with the legs on the back of the leg on it.
The leg was always the coolest.
It was.
It's the one I would show when I teach. I'm like,
that's the one I would put in a movie if I was choreographing a scene. Is there, and then have the guy spiral about 360 and fall.
And then you get the arm bar.
Absolutely. Or shoot him. That'd be the movie version.
Like in, what was the Raid? I think Raid had a bunch of Silat. The Raid movies, so I think to summarize is that there's a lot of different routes to the same thing. And all these things present in different grappling arts, whether it's in JKD, which is of course borrowing from a lot, Kali, which comes, you know, from those 7,000 islands or whatever, and then Indonesia with the Silat and all that. So it's like and wrestling with, you know, the European side. So everything's kind of just coming together, and you can find different ways of working, and if you can make it work, then it's awesome because it's everywhere.
And it all goes back to Kalari Payut in India. That's a whole other video.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like the video for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Turn on notifications. Subscribe to Eli Knight if you're not. I don't understand if you are subscribed to me but not him. Or if you're not, you can unsubscribe to me and subscribe to him. That's fine.
Can't do that.
And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Party. Once again, I want to thank xmartial.com for sponsoring today's video. Use the code Metrolina10 to save 10% on your order. They have BJJ rash guards, shorts, Muay Thai shorts. They also have mouth guards, gloves, and various training accoutrements. So make sure to use the code Metrolina10 at xmartial.com. Get yourself some weeb-tastic gear like I've got my Goku outfit on today. So I'm freaking styling out, and I'm gonna go train, and it's gonna be awesome. So again, use code Metrolina10 at xmartial.com. Thank you so much for sponsoring the video.
As he would go here, he would come double up kick and weave inside. And I gotta see it.
Oh my God, that's amazing.